Hello, today I want to talk to you about readers' journals. This is an assignment in which you're going to take notes on the chapters that you read for each module. And I wanted to give you a little bit of information about why I've chosen this assignment. For one thing, it's a way of taking notes. So obviously, I'm asking that you do the readings and then you write some stuff down or type some stuff about what you've read. But the other thing that you'll notice is I'm asking not just for the notes from the reading, but also that you make connections and that you share some responses. And the reason I've given you a coat hanger is because I wanted to explain that I think the way the brain works is that it's much easier for your brain to hold on to information if it has somewhere to put it. So when you're reading a whole bunch of new content, like you are going to be with our chapters each week, then it's easy for that information to just get lost if it doesn't have anything to hold on to. So if you think about putting your clothes away in your closet, if you just throw the clothes in there, they're probably going to fall to the bottom and get lost and be in a big jumble. But if you put your clothes on hangers, then they're easier to find and retrieve and use again. Information is the same way. When you bring in new information, if you can attach it to something you already know, then your brain will hold on to it more easily and you'll be able to retrieve it more easily. So think of the coat hanger as that information you already have in your brain that the new information can attach to. So that's your response section. The response can be all kinds of things you've learned in other courses, films that you've watched, ideas, memories, feelings, images, whatever is helpful to you, whatever your response is as you're reading is your response. That's totally up to you, but the point here is to help you remember and retrieve this new information. So that's why I've given you this specific format for this assignment, which is a 2-column chart. And the left column is notes from the reading. So that might be vocabulary terms, main concepts, dates, names, regular old note-taking stuff. And then the right-hand column is your response. So I suggest that you just write your notes as you would typically in order of the reading. And then as you write, you fill in the right-hand column with those responses so that as I'm looking at your journal, I can easily match up the notes and the responses and see, oh, as you read this part of the chapter, this was the response you had. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that I'm asking you to include some images. It's best for you if you draw these. So some folks like to type their journals, and that's fine. Other folks prefer to handwrite them, and that's okay too. But certainly if you handwrite, I would encourage you to draw and doodle on your response column. The reason is, again, we know that your brain can remember and retain more information if you draw stuff. So if you combine note taking in words plus drawings, then you're going to remember even more. One more thing I'd like to remind you to do is be sure to include some questions for each chapter. So each reader's journal, try to include at least 3 questions. These could be factual, like something that you just genuinely don't understand from the reading, or it could be more analytical, like, hey, I've seen this movie. Is this an example of the technique they're talking about? So try to come up with 3 questions. The thing that students always want to know is how long should my reader's journal be? And the truth is, I cannot give you an answer, and I know students hate hearing that, but it's honestly true because, for one thing, all of our chapters are different lengths, and so it's going to be kind of difficult for me to say this many pages because some of the chapters are really short and some of them are much longer. Instead, what I would encourage you to do is make your journal thorough and concise. And by thorough, I mean it should cover the whole chapter. I should be able to see content from the beginning, middle, and end of the chapter. I should see all the important vocabulary terms, all the important names and dates, anything that you would want to remember for a quiz. Definitely go ahead and write that down because this is going to be a study guide for you as you're reviewing for each chapter quiz. But along with that, the idea of the response piece is that everybody's responses are going to be different. And so that's going to make the link different as well. So when I say try to be thorough, just make sure that you include all the pertinent information. When I say concise, what that also means, though, is you have to be thoughtful. You cannot simply rewrite the entire chapter. That would be madness, and it wouldn't help you at all. So concise means that you want to have some brevity. You can't say every single thing that's there. So one of the things that's cool about this assignment is it's analytical thinking for you. You're using your critical thinking brain because you have to figure out what are the most important things here. What are the things I really have to make sure that I remember? And then I want to add those things to my reader's journal. And if it's something that's superfluous, extra examples or extra concepts from the chapter that maybe aren't as important, that's okay to leave those out. I'm not expecting you to rewrite every single thing. One big tip for thinking about approaching your reader's journals, especially if you've never taken notes on a reading before, is to look at the headings and the subheadings inside the chapter. That'll give you a big clue about the structure of the chapter and probably some tips about what kinds of things you might want to write down. As always, if you have questions, just reach out and let me know. I'm happy to help, and I'll certainly be writing responses to you back in my comments on your reader's journal. So be sure to read those, especially if you're looking to improve from one chapter to the next. Have fun reading and have fun working on your journals.